25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's time for Damage Control. Your host is Joe Reichel, and he's in the studio dressed in green, matching the color of his phone, by the way. And he's one of the owners of Damage Control Services, and he will answer your do-it-yourself questions. If you've got a project at home that you're not sure how to approach, he can help you out with that, or perhaps just tell you, you know what you need. You need a professional, and he can tell you who would be recommended by him. So if you want to call, the number is 622-9622. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-WOCA. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing really good. That's what I keep saying anyway.
You just came back from a trip.
Just came back from Pennsylvania.
And I was just so touched. I wanted to tell you this. That,
thank you.
Your love for your grandfather who passed, obviously expressed in your Facebook posts, was just wonderful.
Grandpa was the strongest man I've ever known. He was a union carpenter, and
wow.
he's where I got my my love for construction and ambition to build homes. It was always fun going to see Grandpa. We'd be riding through the area where they lived, and we'd go places all the time, and he'd be telling me, I worked on that house, or I worked in that building, and I put the roof on that house, and I mean it was constant. I wish I had kept track.
Wow. And you can say the same. You can drive around town and kind of do the same
Pretty
thing.
much. I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, you can point to this radio station and say that. Yeah,
we worked here.
Well, I just want to let you know. I mean, I know it's got nothing to do with damage control.
Well, it does. It does. I mean, that's like I said. He's where I got the drive and the ambition and the want to be able to work with my hands and build things and help people rebuild. So it does have to do with damage control.
Yeah, human
in a certain way.
Yeah, in a very real way. I mean, really, if you think about what you do.
Yep, yeah. And that's I just left breakfast. The Marion County Builders Association industry. We had a breakfast this morning and talking about hiring licensed contractors and how to make sure that you're protecting yourself. And one of the things they were talking about is, if you hired someone to come in and work on your home, and say it's electrical or plumbing, and something happens, and that you hired an unlicensed professional, say it was a plumber, and you come, all of a sudden you've got a leak in your house, your homeowner's insurance will not cover that if it was the work was done by an unlicensed contractor. So it's always important to make sure that you're hiring someone who is licensed and insured and able to do the work properly.
That is good to know, and I bet a lot of people don't realize that. So if you have what if you did it yourself? Does that apply? Would the insurance cover? Like if I went to fix something?
Well, you as a homeowner,
you can. It's different, right?
You as a homeowner are able to pull an owner-builder permit and take care of things within your means. However, if it's something that needs to be done by a licensed professional, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're hiring someone that's taking care of that.
Yeah,
so, if you hire that, like a permit, for example, and you have to have electrical work done, if you don't have a licensed electrician come in and do that work, you are still liable. So you've got to make sure that you're, and that's all part of getting the inspections and having, getting the permit. You have to verify that you're going to be using licensed professionals.
And does
for the parts that need it.
Right. Now you mentioned that your grandfather was a union worker. Does a union worker automatically? How do I ask this question? Is somebody who is a union worker automatically licensed, or not necessarily?
I don't really know. I don't know the.
Or vice versa. Is a licensed worker always a union worker?
No.
No, okay.
No, a licensed contractor is not necessarily a union worker, and I'm not sure the whole ins and outs of the union.
Because this is Florida, so it's a big difference. Because Pennsylvania, we have
there are differences.
What do you call it, right to work or whatever?
Right, right, and there are differences in the different unions and where you go and what all they take care of and cover. So, but I'm not sure the exact.
So I have
answer to that.
A little follow-up. Do you remember I told you my friend Doug had a hole in his bathtub?
Right.
So he's buying the mobile home he's living in.
Okay.
And the man he's buying it from, he's paying directly to the previous owner. He told him about the hole in the bathtub. He said, well, you have one underneath the trailer. So I said, what? You have a bathtub under the trailer? So he showed it to me. It's under there. So I said, wow, I wouldn't know how to put in a bathtub.
So this is just an extra bathtub?
Apparently, he pushed a bathtub underneath the trailer for one reason. I have no idea why, but...
Huh.
But I was trying to imagine, can I help him? Can I pull it out and put it in? But I say, I wouldn't know how to hook up the drain and the faucets and all that stuff.
Thus the need to get a plumber.
The water would be spraying everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's there's all kinds of tricks to stuff like that, and typically whenever you get involved in something like that, you really need to know what you're doing as far as knowing where the water shutoff is and how to make sure that the water is turned off to the home, and that as you're taking care of everything, that you're doing it the right way, because once you put the water back on,
right.
All those lines are pressurized and you're liable to get a leak everywhere. So I had a little instance this past week. I was changing a commode for my grandmother, and in the process, she has the CPVC, and one of the joints came loose as I was. There was a toilet in the basement, so as I was hooking things up, I ended up with a dripping a line. So I had to turn the water off to the house, and and then drain the line and get it all fixed.
And this is the wife of the grandpa that just passed.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep. This is grandma's house. Yeah. So
she was proud of you.
Had to do a little plumbing work.
Now, did many of his descendants follow in his footsteps as you have?
No.
No.
There's only two of us that are well, there's 6 grandkids, but 2 of us are two boys. So my brother had done some construction. Some of his nephews, he had nephews, my mom's cousins that worked for him through the years and with him on different projects and stuff. So.
If you have a question for Joe, this is a good time to call. The number is 622-9622. That's the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. And again, it could be a do-it-yourself question, or perhaps just, what do I do now? Maybe you're a frantic male with a flood instead of a frantic female with a flood, which happens a lot, right?
Floods, fires, fallen trees, all sorts of the F words that I like to refer to.
Yeah, we've it's kind of a funny thing. I'm losing my sound here on my headset, and I need some damage control on my headset over here. Do you ever help out with wiring and directly, or do you have to bring somebody else in? Again, a licensed person if the electrical...
As far as electrical work, yeah, we'll bring in licensed electricians to help with that.
Do you know my Robin's husband is like an expert welder, so I need to start with that so you know where I'm going. And he's retired now, but I have a nephew who wanted to learn how to weld. So apparently he bought this huge welding machine that the only place you could plug it into would be the outlet for the dryer.
Right.
220?
The 220.
And he brought it over to Ronnie to ask him if he could teach him how to weld. And long story short, Ronnie recommended that he just go get a 110, like a suitcase type of a welding. So now he's in the process of teaching my nephew. Robin's husband is teaching my nephew how to weld with this little welding kit.
Right.
I guess. I'm calling it little. It might not be little. They described it as a suitcase.
Sounds big if it's needs 220, but...
No, but I mean the 110. He traded in the 220.
Oh, okay, I got you.
He brought it back and got a... Well, I think he ordered it online, actually. So,
okay.
Yeah, so... does that need happen often with welding? I don't know that I've ever needed anything welded in my house.
That's a great question, Larry. I don't really know too much about welding. Metal fabrication is not much I mess with, but I have welded in the past. I
you know how to weld?
How to, yeah.
That seems like a hard thing to do.
I guess if you have the right training, anything's possible. So I did it when I was in high school. We had metal shops, so that's where I learned how to do it. Had a pretty good metal shop teacher,
really?
Mr. Cessna. Yeah.
You remember the name?
Yeah.
Wow, it must have been important. The on the horse show, they had a guest on the remote that they did, and the guy put together a bench made out welded together horseshoes.
Yep.
Have you seen that?
I have seen different metal art using horseshoes. Yeah. My uncle has done some. He does a candle holder. It's kind of neat.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought that weld has to be pretty strong if it's holding human weight.
Well, I mean, once you melt that metal and bond it together by welding it, it does create a pretty strong bond that isn't really going to go anywhere. Lots of things are welded together.
Can you weld underwater?
I can't.
But
I mean, I probably could.
Is it possible?
Yes.
Okay.
There's underwater welders. I've got a very good friend who is an underwater welder. Or he's licensed to do it anyway. I don't know that he does it too much.
Were you at that film festival thing?
No, I was out of town.
Oh, that's right.
Would have loved to have been here.
Yeah.
I heard it was a really good time, and everybody had a great experience. It was really good for our local area, so
yeah.
I'm happy to see that.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because there's a push in Tallahassee right now. Florida used to be a huge movie production area, and now there's a push in Tallahassee to create incentives so that we become that again. And Robin worked for like 12 years with the Film Commission, so she was telling me that it brings, when a movie is being made in a town, it brings a lot of construction jobs, even if the construction is temporary.
Right.
You might build a temporary house or something.
Movies are good for the economy, no matter how you look at it, all the way around. If it's a locally done movie, jobs and different, as far as even bringing people into the area, as far as housing and restaurants and whatever it is, they're coming and they're here and experiencing Ocala and the community and what we have to offer here. So it's a great thing. I was talking with somebody in Pennsylvania, and I told them, they asked where I was from, and this is a cousin of mine, and I told them I live in Ocala, and they go, "Oh, that's a beautiful area, all the farms and the rolling hills," and I mean, people know about Ocala, and that's the great thing about it, and the more people we can get here, the better off it's going to be for all of us.
Yeah. I remember taking a trip to Illinois once, and somebody up there said, "Where are you from?" And the same thing, but they said, "Oh, isn't that where the Mark III van conversion is?" I said, "Yeah. I didn't expect you to say that, but yeah, that's where it was."
Yep.
I guess we don't do that anymore, huh?
No, not so much. But I mean, I was on the airport in Orlando flying out, and these guys were on the same plane that I was on. They were going back to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which isn't very far from where I grew up.
That's where the flood was, right?
Right. Very good, Larry. And these guys had just been down here to E1 to buy a fire truck. So. And
they got to drive it back, right?
No, they weren't driving it back. They were flying home. But they came down here. They met with the crew at E1 and went did the whole tour and picked out what they wanted and how they wanted the fire truck. And now I guess it's being built. So.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that brings us back to your show. Which we on a little bit of a detour there, but that's okay. It's your show. But I was thinking, when you have a house with a fire, it's not just the fire. It's got to be the water from the extinguishing process.
We have there's when there's a fire, you have the actual everything that's burnt. So you've got the charred, whatever is charred, like the wood, for example, in the home. You have the smoke and the soot and how that blackens everything. And then you have the odor that goes with it. And then you also have the water damage. We've had several homes that we go into and we're pulling down the ceilings, and just the insulation and everything in the ceiling is just soaking wet. So as you're taking that all apart, you've got to dry, once that is all cleaned out, you've got to dry that then. So, a lot of times we're setting up dehumidifiers in a building in order to get, everything back to rebuildable condition.
Well, you mentioned one time getting the odors out of a house with an ozone process.
Yeah, there's several different options, and ozone is one of those.
Now, does ozone remove odors because it kills something like bacteria or something?
Well, it'll kill the odor molecule. I'm not real up on ozone. Ozone is one of those things that whenever you use ozone, for example, you're not able to be in there. You can't have any pets.
It'll kill you, right?
Well, it takes the oxygen out of the room. So, no pets are allowed to be there. No plants. You have to remove everything that's rubber because it'll dry it out and crack. So, ozone isn't really There's newer technology that's a little bit safer, that is safer, and sometimes a little bit better.
Is it considered O1 on the chart?
That's a great question.
O2 is what we breathe, right?
I don't know.
I've always wondered. Well, and here's where I was going with that. If it kills odors because they're living somehow as microbes, how would it actually affect the smell of burnt wood, since there's nothing living there?
Well, pretty much, if wood is burnt, in order to do the rebuild process, you've got to get rid of that.
Just get it out of there.
You've got to remove it.
Okay.
So anything that's charred has to be removed. And then, in order to, in the rebuild process, a lot of times what's done is called encapsulation. So, like, for example, your trusses, they will have a smoke damage to them, maybe a smoke damage, but it's not charred. What we do there is, one of the processes would be to cover that in a paint, basically paint everything.
Okay.
So it encapsulates that odor.
Okay.
So it can't, continue to...
Right.
To stink. Because if you don't get rid of it, you're always going to smell it. And one of the things too, when there is a damage like a fire, for example, one of the things we as humans have is it's called heightened awareness. Once we know there was a fire there, everything might be clean, but the homeowner can sometimes say, "I still smell smoke." And it's more of, it was there, so they think they can smell it.
So it's psychological.
It's heightened awareness is what that's called. So,
but heightened awareness would imply that it's actually there, no?
Not always.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like you assume that it's there. You have a heightened awareness of it.
Oh, man. I need that.
So,
I need a heightened awareness.
Well, heightened awareness can be good.
If you have a question for Joe about repairing something that you've been thinking about repairing, as far as your home or maybe your deck or something, the phone number is 622-9622. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. I need your help with this little plug over here. It's giving me a hard time.
You have a plug?
My headphone plug.
Oh.
I need an electrician, a licensed electrician, to help me out with this. So you flew up to Pennsylvania?
Yep, flew out. I flew out last Tuesday afternoon, and then flew back late last night.
By the way, we had a guest while you were out.
Okay.
His name was Richard Reichel.
Richard Reichel.
And he looked up the station because he knew he was going to be a guest on here, and he mentioned you.
Oh, wow.
And so he actually used what you do as a parlay into what he wanted to talk about, which was getting over stage fright.
Okay.
He's an acting coach and a psychologist. And
how cool.
Yeah. So I said, are you guys related? I said, you don't look alike, but...
I don't know the guy. I would like to.
I'll show you his book.
Is he here locally?
I think he was in Tampa.
Okay.
I think he said he was in Tampa. Yeah, you don't have a common last name.
No, I mean there's quite a few Reichels around, and even when I was in Pennsylvania, I got to see several of them. So.
Oh, really? But you knew all them, right?
Yeah, they're relatives.
Oh, here comes Robin with the book. There you go. There you go. That's
him right there.
That's him.
No, we don't look alike.
No, I don't think so. There you are, face to face. No, yeah, but he's like an
Dr. Richard Reichel.
Yep.
Everybody is an actor.
It's kind of like a Larry David episode where who played George Costanza on Seinfeld? Do you remember the actor? Jason Alexander.
Jason
Alexander wrote a book about everybody being an actor.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So have you ever worked on the construction of something temporary, like a stage or something like that? I used to watch this all the time. I used to watch the carpenters. I don't mean the group, but I mean the union guys build these stages.
I can't think of anything that I've done like that.
It just always seemed like, wow, look at all that work, and they take it down in like 2 or 3 days.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
It goes up quick and then they take it down.
Yeah.
It suits the purpose. Suits the need.
Yeah. And if you don't get it right, it doesn't work.
Right.
It falls down.
Yeah, we've one of the projects that we're doing right now. It's going to be a rather permanent situation.
What are you doing?
Homeowners had a flood in the house, or had some water damage, not really a flood, but it was a leaking air conditioning unit that caused some damage to their laminate flooring. And they took all the laminate flooring out, and we're putting tile throughout the entire house now. So a wood-looking tile. It's kind of neat.
That is neat.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty nice job.
I've often thought about doing something you recommended, gosh, when you first started doing the show, which was to put something down on the tile in the bathroom to make it less slippery. And in fact, in the kitchen, too. I got the same exact thing in the kitchen.
Right.
And if it's wet, it is slippery. Mm-hmm. And I have a dog. So the dog always will get it wet. She doesn't pee on it, but she'll drink from her bowl and just goes everywhere.
Water
She's a sloppy drinker. Yeah.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of products out there that are very good to use, and as far as helping to keep from surfaces from being slippery and help people to not to slip on in areas that especially are high traffic or entrances to a store or a restaurant. So that can get wet and are can become a problem.
You've used it, right? You've used the.
We have used this product in different areas, yeah.
And is there any feedback as to how well you can clean the floor once that's down there? Does it change anything?
No, it doesn't change anything.
Really? Does it change the look at all?
No.
Really?
Doesn't change the look. And it's something that, you've got to keep applying, regularly. There needs to be a regular maintenance to it.
Like every month?
No, this is every several months. It depends on the traffic traffic in the area, too. I mean, at home, you wouldn't need to do it as much as you would in a commercial area where there was a lot of traffic.
Is it a spray-on?
It is. I don't know. I don't recall, actually. I didn't do the work, so...
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring it up because I've been thinking about it. Maybe some of your listeners had never heard it. It's actually a way to stop your tiles from being slippery.
Any type of surface that any type of flooring this can be applied on. So,
we got a little bit of a rain crowd today, coming in out of the rain.
Few people coming into the mall.
This is when you get the call from the not so frantic water call because it's dripping.
There are, when
it's raining out.
I got a call yesterday. Homeowner has a leaking roof situation. She's not sure what's happening, and I've got a call from another homeowner. He has kind of the same situation yesterday. So, this time of the year, as these spring showers, these pop-up storms that we get, you really need to be, make sure that everything in your house is okay. A couple weeks ago, I went to a house, and the roof has some overhanging limbs, and one of the limbs had rubbed a hole in the... Hi, guys. One of the limbs had rubbed a hole in the shingle to the point where it was about to cause a leak. So we were able to catch it in time, but anytime you would have overhanging limbs in your house, if they're rubbing on the shingles, you need to make sure that you're getting those cut off or cut back from the house.
You might not realize how that, if it's constantly there, how it would put a hole in it?
It'll rub a hole in your shingle.
Wow. So
anytime the wind blows that tree, that limb is rubbing, those limbs are rubbing on the roof and wearing out your shingles. So, and it's also, if you have limbs that are trees overhanging your house, another problem you need to be concerned with is leaves piling up in your in the valleys or against certain, maybe the dormers or things like this, where it can catch those leaves, and the water will start to back up and cause a problem there. So Joe, now's the time to take care of it.
We are just about out of time. What's your phone number?
My phone number is 352-817-6574. You can reach me on my direct line, or you can email me, joe@damageflorida.com.
All right, excellent. And we're a Fox affiliate now.
Yep.
Yeah, so Fox News is coming up next, and
pretty cool.
Fox Sports all weekend long. So there we go.
Everybody have a great week.
We'll take a little break and be right back.
News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The Blade Runner breaks down in court at his murder trial. Olympian Oscar Pistorius in South Africa maintaining he shot his girlfriend thinking she was an intruder.
He was howling with apparent grief.